Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a wild mystery of betrayal, secret letters, and a deep generational grudge, all hidden inside a seemingly peaceful village. Now, we're looking at a fascinating story here that features an entirely vegetable cast. But hey, don't let the produce aisle setting fool you, okay? The themes of manipulation, trust, and revenge that we're about to unpack are literally as intense as any thriller you've ever come across.
Let's kick things off with this chilling defense from our prime suspect, Gajar, or Carrot. I didn't do it for happiness. I was forced. If I didn't listen, my family would be harmed. Just listen to the desperation there. She's pleading her innocence, claiming she was forced into this massive deception under the threat of violence against her own family. But to understand how we got to this super desperate confession and, figure out if she's actually telling the truth, we've got to back up and investigate the initial crime to see how this whole tangled web was spun.
Okay, so part 1, the setup. A promise between brothers. Every good tragedy starts with something beautiful that eventually gets destroyed, right?
In this village, that beautiful thing was brotherhood. Our story begins with Alu, the potato, and Tomater, the tomato. These two brothers are hands down the hardest working farmers in the entire village. They make this solemn vow that they're going to succeed together and absolutely no distance will ever come between them. They are totally unified. But, well, their peaceful life gets completely turned upside down by the arrival of Gajar. On the surface, she's super charming, but internally, she's harboring some major secret ambitions. She sees how hardworking the brothers are and figures, hey, marrying into wealth could change my life forever. And right here is where we get our first glimpse of how easily external desires can threaten our closest bonds.
This brings us to part 2, the web of deceit, a village manipulated. What starts out as a simple, maybe even innocent love triangle, quickly spirals into a massive, village-wide conspiracy.
You see, Gajar pulls Alu aside, tells him she wants to marry him, and asks him to keep it on the down low. But almost immediately, Alu finds out she's also been flattering Tomater, creating this instant rift of suspicion between the once inseparable brothers. But guys, the deception doesn't stop there. The sheer logistics of this are absolutely staggering. Gajar allegedly promised herself to nearly every vegetable in town. Just think about how absurd this is. While Alu was getting a secret proposal, Tomater was being blinded by intense flattery. Meanwhile, Piaz the onion gets a definitive hidden love letter, and Shimla Mirch, the capsicum, literally bought a house in the city for her. Add in a fake marriage promise to Cure the cucumber, and an actual physical engagement photo shoot with Mooli the radish. It's a masterclass in reckless manipulation. It's almost comical how deep this goes.
But, a lie this massive, it just can't stay hidden for long. The web starts to unravel, and it unravels fast. Mirchi, the chili pepper, catches Gajar red-handed forging these fake documents and letters. And when the truth starts leaking out, the entire village of victims converges to confront Gajar all at once. Piaz brings out his letter, Shimla Mirch is yelling about the house, Mooli is waving the engagement photo around, realizing she's totally trapped and everyone is comparing notes. Gajar panics and tries to sprint out of the village, but she's stopped by an angry mob demanding answers. It just goes to show, in any tight-knit community, the truth is going to catch up to you eventually.
But wait a second, there's a glaring hole in our suspect's motive here, and this brings us to a massive plot twist. Think about it. If your goal is simply to marry a rich farmer to secure your financial future, why on earth would you systematically promise yourself to 6 different people in the exact same tiny village? It's mathematically impossible to pull off, and you're absolutely guaranteed to get caught. It just doesn't make any sense, right?
And as the village is demanding answers, really strange things start happening. Unseen attacks start occurring in the dead of night. The villagers start feeling this overwhelming sense of dread, and they slowly realize these attacks aren't coming from outside the village. They're coming from the inside. So we really have to ask, if Gajar's master plan makes literally zero logical sense, who is actually pulling the strings in the shadows? Who actually benefits from all this chaos?
We'll enter the true mastermind, Kala Lasun, or Black Garlic. Stepping right out of the shadows, he finally reveals himself, and the villagers are completely shocked because they thought this guy was long gone. But Kala Lasun declares he never actually left. He's just been hiding in plain sight, poisoning every single relationship from the inside out. He flat out admits, right in front of everyone, that he was the one orchestrating every single fake romance and forging every single letter.
Which brings us to part 3, the motive, generational trauma uncovered. Why?
Why would Kadalasan go to such extreme lengths to destroy the village's peace and target Gajar and the brothers specifically?
Well, to understand a villain, you have to dig into their history. Thanks to an old diary discovered by Maka, the corn, the dark truth finally comes to light. So years ago, the families of these vegetables were actually the best of friends, but a grandfather intervened and stopped a wedding between the ancestral families over a simple misunderstanding. In the aftermath of that broken trust, Kalalasun swore a vow of lifelong revenge. Fast forward decades later, and he decides to enact this revenge by blackmailing Gajar, forcing her to ruin the current generation's relationships so they'd feel the exact same betrayal he felt. And all of this leads us straight into the present day, to a final terrifying showdown at the old ruins on the edge of the village. Talk about a stark reminder of how unresolved generational trauma can just completely infect the present.
So the absolute crucial takeaway here is this: Gajar wasn't a greedy manipulator at all. Actually, she was forced into this deceit entirely against her will. Kalalasun explicitly threatened her family's safety if she didn't follow his exact script. Every single fake romance, every little flirtation, it was all a highly calculated move by Kalalasun to pit the villagers against each other. He was literally turning their capacity for love into a weapon of mass destruction.
And that takes us to part 4, the climax, the final test at the ruins. Let's move over to these underground caves and see how this all builds to a final, dangerous ultimatum. Kalalasun lures Alu, Tomater, and Gajar into this hidden underground cave system beneath the ruins for his ultimate twisted game. He forces a totally sadistic choice on the two brothers, perfectly designed to exploit their initial vow of unity. He gives him 2 options. Option A, Alu enters the ruins to save Gajar, but if he does, Tomater has to pack his bags and leave the village forever. Or Option B, Tomater is the one to go inside and be the hero, but Alu will be banished and never allowed to see Gajar again. Kalalasun is setting up this terrible dilemma where saving the girl means completely destroying the brothers' lifelong bond. It's a lose-lose scenario, plain and simple.
But, Kalalasun severely underestimated the strength of this community. Instead of turning on each other just to be the hero, Alu and Tomater refuse to play the game. They declare they will both die before they let the other be banished. And then, Gajar steps up. She looks right at the mastermind and says, "If anyone deserves punishment, it's me. I won't let anyone die." She bravely offers to sacrifice herself entirely just to end this toxic cycle of revenge once and for all.
Which leads right into part 5, resolution, forgiveness and new beginnings. Their ultimate refusal to give in to hatred completely breaks Kalalasun's control over the village.
Because at the end of the day, when victims refuse to play the game, the manipulator's power just evaporates. Which brings us to the aftermath. Alu looks at Gajar and he recognizes the absolute terror she was put through, how she was blackmailed and backed into a corner. But more importantly, he recognizes her courage to finally stand up, tell the truth, and offer her own life for theirs. That right there is the ultimate power of truth. Alu totally forgives Gajar, and they agree to start a new life together, side by side, free from lies. It really proves that genuine brotherhood, honesty, and forgiveness can overcome even the absolute deepest deceptions. So we're going to wrap up this explainer with a little question for you to ponder. Now, this story might be about vegetables, sure, but human dynamics operate exactly the same way. Misinformation, blackmail, generational grudges, they can rot any community from the inside out. So I leave you with this. In a world full of rumors and hidden agendas, how resilient is your trust in the people closest to you? If a mastermind tried to pit your own community against itself with untested rumors, would your trust survive the test, or would you end up turning on each other? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating story with us today, and hey, always keep questioning the narratives around you.